It's the Meika Safehouse on the Pet Channel on TVU with your host, Ian Sprague. How you doing, Ian?
I'm doing good, James. How about yourself?
Very good, very good. We've got a continuation of a conversation about
Yeah, you
natural.
betcha.
Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, he's left again. Something scared him.
Yeah, me moving on the screen. Sorry about
Maybe
that.
I don't know, but okay. Well, and that could tie into exactly what we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about lighting, natural light versus what we live in. Okay, so with natural light, that for birds anyhow, for and for people, that's how you process all your vitamins and all that kind of stuff. You need that UV light to get into you, that so you can process all your vitamins naturally, properly, and you won't need to take nearly as many supplements if you get a good dose of sunlight on a regular basis. Same goes for birds. Same thing. We can give our birds all the great best foods in the world and all that kind of stuff, but without natural sunlight, a lot of it's wasted, right? So what we need to look at is that this time of year is get your birds outside as much as you can, right? And that's going to be great. You're going to get natural light even on a somewhat cloudy day. If it's raining but it's not too cold, let them go out there. They're still going to get that UV that they so much need. And then the same goes for us. Even though we won't like it, we should be outside as much as we can, because these fluorescent tubes just don't do it for us. Now, a lot of people will tell me, well, I have my birds by the window. That should do it. And unfortunately, glass filters out all the beneficial sunlight. So the glass will filter out all the UV. You'll never get a suntan on this side of the glass. It's always, it always just gets reflected away. So there's a product out here that we carry. This is just one of them. There's two products. They're light bulbs, and they have UVA and UVB in them. So it's just like a source of radiation. It's not enough to give you a sunburn, but it's enough for you to absorb those vitamins and enjoy them, right? The other cool thing about this is that I don't know if we talked about it before or not, but birds need natural sunlight to see properly. Birds see into the ultraviolet. We don't have the equipment to do that. Our eyes there's no way. We don't even really know what it looks like. Everything that we do is a guess, right? But we do know that they see into the ultraviolet. And when you add this to their environment, all of a sudden, it's like taking the birds out of a dim room and putting them into a room with all the lights on. They can see everything perfectly. So this is just I showed this sheet before. This is a common myna. And so that's what you would see when you looked at that bird. Doesn't matter if you looked at it outside, inside, no matter what. Now, if you had a bird living in your house without the light bulb, the bird would see the same thing you do. This. As soon as you introduce ultraviolet into that bird's environment, he can see into the ultraviolet range and he'll see what that bird's meant to look like. So a lot of people ask me all the time, how can a crow tell this crow from that crow? Well, we don't really know what they look like properly, but it's likely closer to this than it is to this. Right? So it's one of those neat things that it makes such a big difference in your bird's life. Just be able to see properly. They basically, I always kind of want to say, it's not quite this drastic, but I always like saying it this way. It's like being at twilight all the time for them if they don't have access to proper lighting, right? So it's kind of gray, kind of boring. Not their food doesn't look quite appetizing. But as soon as you introduce that ultraviolet, boom. The birds are seeing things differently. Their attitudes change. Of course, they're getting the nutrients that they need a little bit better. So that's helping with their overall health. It's just a really cool thing to do. I find some birds, getting back to the light bulb, are more sensitive to it than others. Some birds, you put it up there and they think it's all right, and they carry on. But those birds generally that react that way don't have a lot in their environment to spark the interest, right? So so you always kind of watch for that kind of thing. The one thing I would always say is that when you give this access to your bird, it will change their whole demeanor. But if it doesn't, then try changing their environment around a little bit, because they're not sure of what they're seeing. I know you can always tell the kind of halo I have behind me, and that's I'll just go like that. That's the same light bulb as this, but that I use for my finches here in behind. Makes a huge difference. They're a lot more active. They're synthesizing their vitamins properly. It's a good deal. There is a little bit of controversy with the light bulbs. A lot of people will say, well, why can't I just use a UVA light bulb that I use for growing tomatoes or whatever, a garden lamp? And in theory, you probably could. The problem is that the ballasts that you have in a lot of those lights are too slow. So they don't cycle fast enough for birds. Birds need that cycle to be over 5,000 whatever cycles per second. Otherwise, they see the flicker. So then it's like being in a nightclub in the 80s. It's all black lights and strobe lights, right? So then, so you really have to watch, the ballast that you get. These guys work just like an incandescent bulb. It's on. It doesn't flicker. The tube lighting, you can do it, but you have to make sure you have the right ballasts for the bulb. That's the hard part. But yeah, no, so that's kind of the UVA lighting. And the other thing that I guess people will often ask, can it hurt their eyes? Can it hurt the birds in any way? The light itself cannot hurt the birds at all. If you have a bird that has a stereotypical behavior that stares at the light too much, of course, it can be an issue. If you notice your bird doing something like that, I would limit the amount of time that the light bulb's on. I would just tone it down a little bit, but still give it to them and blast, because they really only need probably a couple hours a day. They don't need 8 hours of that a day. If you use these and you start giving them 14 hours a day and then 10 hours a day, it should be consistent. Okay. Because what you can do is you can also drive them into a hormonal breeding frenzy by playing with the light too much. But just keep it at a consistent base. As long as they're not staring at the light bulb, they'll be fine.
It's interesting because we've had birds in our home for a number of years. We don't have them now. Yeah. And I noticed in the winter, when we let them out of the cage, they had a hard time landing and stuff. And I didn't know what it was, but now I know why. They were flying in the dark because we just had the house lights on. But in the summer, they could land everywhere, man. They could pinpoint land on curtain rods, and it was just like, I wasn't sure if I wasn't feeding them right. And then, then one, and that was the other time that you talked about Teflon pans and gases and stuff, and we lost a bird that we had a long time, and we never could figure out why. We just woke up one day, he just passed away, right? And we now that when you brought how sensitive they are, and now with this information with the lights, it's very useful. Did our guests? Did our guests fly away?
No, she's just right here. Just come back here now.
Oh.
Hey, bye. Did a flyby. Come here, Chaku. There we go. Hey. All the things in my office that can go wrong. So this is Chaku. Chaku is a Senegal parrot, another one of the African species. Chaku is a little nervous. Really does seem to prefer women, but she's a pretty good bird. He's a pretty good bird. Got a little nervous. I don't know what scares him, but
he's busy. Seeing into the computer monitor and seeing us talk, and he's listening. So, and I tried to stay still, and then when I looked to switch the view because I wanted to get a close up of him, he saw that as a movement. So but that's a Senegal parrot. Chaku's and like I said, from Africa. They have decreasing numbers.
mainly from habitat loss and of course a certain amount of the poaching. But they have a not a horrible population. You know, they're of concern, but they're not threatened. How's that? But yeah, and Chucku's here. We have 2 Senegal parrots that are in our in the system here at Safehouse, and Chucku's just one of them. Like I said, for Chucku, I would suggest that you would probably do best with a quieter household, because and then probably would enjoy older family, like not a bunch of little kids running around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and how has it been? Have you been getting adoptions and people been taking birds and it's been good?
It's coming along. We had let me count here. We had just on Saturday we had 5 birds surrendered. So it kind of, you think you're getting ahead a little bit, and then you get pulled right back.
No, for sure. The aviaries in the safe house is always full, but people are going through the process and getting qualified, sure. And good.
Yeah, good. It's all rolling along.
That's good. And the lovebirds, they're
lovebirds. The babies are all basically ready to go home.
They're ready.
I think they're going home today. As a matter of fact, a bunch of them are.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so they're all good.
What about the parrot walk? Wasn't that on the weekend?
That was on Saturday. I got some footage. I'm going to send that to you for next week's show.
Next week. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
You're not
ready to do some editing.
Oh, okay. Oh, you don't want to leave it up to me. Find the.
There's a couple shots there where you can see the top of my head, and it's like, oh, geez, you got to cover up the bald spots and stuff,
That's good. Well, we look forward to it. Any other events coming up?
Not that I know of. They were talking at the Parrot Walk that they're going to try and do, just because of COVID and the way things are, they're going to try and maybe do a couple more walks this year in different spots, and hopefully they have better weather for it. It was pretty wet yesterday, but when we were walking, we got rained out.
Now, okay. Now look at today.
Yeah,
okay?
Of course, yeah.
Just fantastic. Meika Safehouse on the Pet Channel with your host Ian Sprague, only on TVU.
Right on. Have a good one.